106 BTC at the moment. Are we getting into a place where we need to start looking at exiting some of these altcoins? Is it time for some kind of reversal? So guys, I'm taking you through a lot of these alts that we are sitting long in at the moment. We're going to look, is it time to TP? Is it time to short? Or is it time to absolutely send some of these a little bit more? So I'm going to give you my full plan today. We're covering so many alts. I've banged out so many shorts for you and so many other setups here. We are ready to go. Okay, let's get right into it. And remember, guys, as always, if you like the content, hit the like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. This is me on Crypto Live today. You can normally catch me on Banter Plus, Monday to Friday, and sometimes on a weekend as well. But today, we are on the Crypto Live channel. If you're enjoying it, hit the like, hit the bell, do the thing. And you're going to see me sporadically arriving at this channel at random times. So if you're new to the show and you enjoy the content, well, you can catch me on Banter Plus as well. Okay, James is in the house. There he is. And quickly, sentiment check. It's going to affect my lead.
Bullish for now up until we hit 108 or so.
Fair call. Fair call. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, so how are you guys feeling? Let me know in the chats what is going on there with you guys. I just want to get your sentiment. I want to feel what you guys are going on about at the moment. And Banter Bubbles, nice and green. Now, these are the days where I get a little bit edgy because when we get nice and green like this, we start looking at resistance zones and we start moving into the phase of a pump where if we've got our entries from the lows, now we're at phase two. And phase two for us is taking profits, or is it trading the breakouts, or is it looking for shorts? And that's effectively where we are finding ourselves right now. So I'm going to close a couple of trades live here with you guys, and we're going to start hunting a couple of other setups. So in terms of Banter Bubbles, it's beautiful. So enjoy the moment. All I can say is there's always the danger of a round trip here and a couple of rejections. So for example, FARTCOIN, 8% up here. I've actually just closed that one before the show. WIF's an absolute pumper. And I'm sitting in BONK, unfortunately. Look at that, 6% up. WIF is 19%, little bit offensive. PEPE is now at resistance, bottom left of your screen. I'm going to close that one live as well here with you guys. But everything nice and green. It's been a solid day. And I think in terms of getting that move that we were looking for, a short-term move to say the least, that is now playing out. Now the question remains is, are we going to roll over? And is there going to be more pain? So let's go BTC and let's just talk about what's happened in the last, say, 12, 24 hours. And in terms of yesterday, I gave you 3 big zones to the upside. And what I was saying was a pump into this zone was going to print us bearish divergence. And eventually it did give us this late yesterday. And we printed the divergence and then we started rolling over with BTC. It's like absolute clockwork using the oscillators with the hot zone. So we fell over really nicely here. We had our support bounce earlier, a little bit better than the 618, funnily enough. And now we are getting this pump in the market. So the question is, what happens next? Where's the next play? So what I'm looking at the moment is this oscillator is probably going to tee up for another divergence print on the 2 hour. And why I'm saying that is we're probably going to get a lower high again on this oscillator. And it looks like we're going to print a new high on the price action. So again, that tells me that's a possible opportunity for a rejection on BTC, or at least some kind of consolidation. So the danger zones that I'm watching for a rejection are 107,500. This is a big one for me. It's our 0.5. It's our horizontal. It's our VWAP from the highs. So that is a big one, 107,500. Then the next banger is a 618 fib trend horizontal as well coming into play, and that is 108,500. So these are my big rejection zones that I'd be paying attention to now. So exercise caution in those areas. That is most likely, if there is going to be some kind of rejection or sell-off, you're most likely going to find it's going to be in one of those 2 areas on BTC. Now, in terms of looking for support a little bit lower down, we're going to keep it really simple here. We just want to drag our fib higher. As we keep printing new highs, we're just going to start looking at new supports as it comes up slowly. But for me, the best thing I can give you guys right now, 105K. I don't want to go much lower than that for now if we are going to remain bullish, but 105K, that is where it's at for me. So right now, ping pong zones, you've got it. You got 2 to the upside, you got 1 to the downside. If we start blowing through that, well, I mean, then we might need an emergency live stream later on, but we'll have to see how that goes. But those are the levels that I'm playing with right now, guys. And James, you were talking 108, hey? So James likes a bit of 108. I think that's a quality area there for a little bit of lickies for anyone who's going to long the top. So let's talk lickies here. And I've been watching this thing today gradually move up. We're now 203 million, but earlier on today we're about 140 million, give or take. So this is starting to climb higher. It might be a lot of the shorts here, and there's definitely a battle going on between the bulls and the bears at the moment. He's taking some heat here. Look at this fire here. This is brutal. This is brutal. The battle between the bulls and the bears at the moment, but we'll see. So why is the market looking a little bit more bullish? Well, we've had a little bit of bullish news coming out of the US again, and the stuff has been so tweet related and tariff related, and this continues. And US pauses tariffs on select Chinese goods until August. Now that came out late yesterday, and that gave our bags a nice little pump off these zones. So that is some positive news out of that. And then Trump admin demands final trade deal offers from countries by Wednesday to avoid reinstatement of tariffs. So there's another deadline tomorrow. A little bit bullish, I guess. I mean,
so long as they come through. But yeah, they're going to come through because they don't want him to hand that letter to them telling them they got 5,000% tariffs. So they're gonna line up.
Nice numbers. Okay. Tariff revenue. Look at this. Collected in the US in May hit a record 22 billion, following 16 billion April. Customs and certain excise taxes have more than doubled over the last 2 months. Year to date, government has collected 67 billion. So tariffs now reflect 4% of the total federal revenue, up from the last few years' average 2%. So yeah, it's doubled, but I mean, it's not that much, I guess. And a lot of it might be given back, if these courts get their way. So we'll have to see how it plays. But the market at the moment is obviously loving it. And as you guys know, FTX, they've now distributed their funds. And interestingly, we saw a sell-off in the market around about that FTX period where everybody would have got their money. And I think it was just a sell the event situation. And now we're getting a short-term push. So let's get into the juicy stuff. S&P kind of finally giving me what I wanted. I want this all-time high before this thing rolls over. So right now, this plan is coming into play on the S&P, looking for this push. Was this the bullish news we needed to get something going? Looney Prison, good area on Maker, bro. I've got that chart for you guys right now. If you're not TPing, it's at least it's at least a TP zone there for you guys. Okay, so S&P thinking we get one more push here in terms of divergence. Look at that. We're looking for that lower high print, and then we can get some kind of move to the downside. So I think we are getting super close on the S&P. And then with regards to other stocks, well, you can see I'm short Tesla, but that is up 2% today. And we're going to take a look at that. Are we going to hold on to it? But another one here that is making waves at the moment is Meta. And TrendSpider is talking about Meta here at the moment. But I also think similar story. I do think before we need to go long, I think we're going to get a dip first on something like Meta, just like the S&P. So Meta still waiting patiently. I think we're going to get a long around about 600 potentially. Other than that, 550, I think it's coming. So there's no rush in terms of longing Meta just yet. And in terms of divergences, I think we are going to get something like that as well. So we're going to get that little lower high on the oscillator, and then we'll get a day or two in the market where we get something like this out of Meta, and then I think we're going to be cooking. We're going to be cooking to the upside. Now, in terms of my current trades, Tesla, that was cooking yesterday. I'm obviously going to hold this short. I do think it's going to go lower. Gold at the moment, I'm sitting in a gold short as well, and that thing is nice and green. That was that setup that I gave you guys yesterday, so no changes there. And Microsoft still just killing me slowly and killing me softly while we sit here and wait for this fucking thing to roll over. Now, let's talk about gold. And in terms of this, I still feel gold can go a little bit lower, and if gold is drifting lower, I think that ties into the S&P pushing a little bit higher for us. So that is kind of what I'm looking at the moment in terms of gold. You can see we've fallen over. We've got our first reaction where in a typical 382 and horizontal hot zone. Look at that. Okay, you don't need any form of rocket science degree to figure out what a hot zone is, and it's easy to learn. I'll tell you about it, and you can sign up to my course. But there it is, reacting off a nice 382. My game plan is obviously I'm short up here, so I'm looking for that lower high, and I do want to see this thing gradually move a bit lower. And the reason I'm looking at that is because my 2 hour is still pointing down. So I want to see this thing start rolling over properly, and then we're going to start looking for new longs on gold. And I suspect it's going to be somewhere down here, 3,300, give or take. Let's see if we can just get this move down, and then we'll get another long on gold at some point. Okay, so that's the game plan there on gold. If anybody is trading it with me, remember guys, all the stuff I talk about like BTCC here, where we're trading stocks, is literally in the show description. You go into the show and you go under and you click more, and then you'll see everything is there, from my accelerator course to chart hackers to all the exchanges that I talk about. Now remember, all these charts that you see here go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show for you as well, so you'll have access to all of them immediately. Okay, they'll be there waiting for you guys. Now let's get into BTC, because this is actually why we are here. And On-Chain College says key levels for Bitcoin converging around 95k, suggesting strong support. So that's nice, okay? But if you're highly leveraged, obviously it's less nice. And if you're sitting in altcoins, it's really less nice, because that's about a 10-15% drop on BTC. So that'll decimate alt potentially in terms of the downside. But On-Chain College, and this is for all the guys that are hodling BTC, 95k is a big zone according to these guys and their fancy chart that they've got going on over there. But let's take a look, and let's just look at some basic levels. So why am I still feeling a little bit bearish on BTC? Well, the main reason for me is that we've actually lost a major horizontal level. So this was 106 to 108. You can see that is a major support region that we've had in the past, and we were sitting on that support, and now we have lost it. So what I'm seeing happening right now is just typically a bearish retest, where you move back and you retest those the previous support, and then you get some kind of rejection and things start moving a little bit lower down and things like that. I'm not saying we have to go all the way down to these levels, but what I'm seeing here at the moment is just a typical bearish scenario. So until we break above this 108k, until we reclaim those types of levels here, it's difficult for me to come with conviction and say, let's be super bullish here, we're going to the moon. So for me, I want to reset some of these levels. I want to clean out liquidity lower down. And how do we get there? Well, we get there relatively slowly. And in terms of the daily chart, for me, 102 to 100 looks pretty good to me. And then 97 down to about 96k makes sense. And then that 95k level, no coincidence here, that's the 200-day moving average. Look at that absolute banger right there. Okay, so there's your 200-day MA support, tying in with that man's whatever's going on there, that serious chart, whatever's going on. And these are all your downside levels. So if we are falling over and things do turn bearish, these are the reaction zones that I would pay attention to. Okay, so keeping it as simple as possible here for you guys. Okay, we see a little reaction here on BTC. Let's quickly close a trade, actually. So here's PEPE, and you can see PEPE is sitting at danger zone number 1 that I gave you guys yesterday. Cole's looking for entries, bro. Well, here we go. PEPE, this is a TP. So it's a TP zone for me for that long I was sitting in yesterday. Why is it a TP zone? 200-day MA, 382 FIB, VWAP, horizontal, and obviously one handbag up. Okay, there it is. So there's PEPE. It's $2,860 up. Not a bad move, okay, from yesterday. So we're going to bank that handbag right there. Let's go. And there we go. So that one is done. All we've done is close a trade that we took off a nice region, and now we've closed it at a typical resistance zone where some guys are actually looking for shorts in those areas. So in this particular case, I'm taking profit on PEPE. And once again, I'm not saying it can't go higher. I'm not saying it cannot go to 142. But in terms of getting a move out of it, would you have been happy with that profit yesterday if you preset your trade? And I think that's a reasonable area to look for some kind of rejection. Okay, so there's the handbag locked and loaded. I'm sure the wife is going to be pleased when she watches the show. Well, don't let her watch the show though. Dan, I've got virtual for you, bro. I'm sitting in a virtual long. And it's something I'm trying to build at the moment. If we can get a little bit of momentum here, you can see here, I've got virtual. It's $23,000 in size, and it's busy simmering. And I'm going to take you through this one in a couple of minutes. Okay, so there we go. BTC, guys, you know the drill. And then in terms of lickies, let's just look at a couple of licky levels here. And this is the 24 hours that we're watching. And you can see we've got a nice cluster building up already. 105 down to early 105s, and then look at this, a little section here down to 104k. So don't get a fright if they do come for a little flash here down into this region. There's that 618, look at that 104k. So everything's possible here to the downside short term. And then I want to show you this big one as well, because this is quite nice in terms of liquidity zones. And we've got a nice build up here, 103, 102. Fourth word, welcome, sir. finally joined Hackers. Well, where have you been, sir? Okay, welcome. Just go into the Hangouts chat, say hello to everyone. I'm sure they'll say hello to you there, and introduce yourself and make sure you give us a setup. Okay, we want to trade your coins. Okay, so let us know there when you are in. Okay, and Dan, like your show, guys. Thank you, bro. Well, hit the likes and do those things. Now, Bitcoin on the weekly. This is an interesting one because we've got massive build-up both sides at the moment, and the market makers must be licking their lips. It's getting super exciting for them, and you can see the easy grab here is anything down to this 102 region. Even 101 looks like a nice little zone, and then upside, guys. At some point, they are coming back. They are going to come and grab this at some point. It's just difficult to say when. You know, if they push it up to 108 today, why wouldn't they just grab this 110 quickly? Because look how juicy that is. So look out for a fake out. Look out for a wick into 110 if they do pump it up, because that could be a guard mode short area there on BTC as well. So look out for that fake out above that 108 region. Just a reminder where that is, 110, and that should tie in with that liquidation area there. There it is there, bang, 110. So look out for like a hard pump or a crazy wick into that type of area. That could obviously come into play for us as well. Now let's talk altcoins. Are these things overcooked? What's going on here at the moment? And using the 4-hour heat map, you can see there's a couple of things that are overcooked at the moment. Maker is one of them. I'm talking about that now. That is at the very worst ATP zone. Okay, if you are hanging on to Maker here, yes, it can go higher, but you are playing with fire. The wife's not going to be happy. LQTY, whatever the fuck that is, I've got a short setup for you guys, and that thing is super overcooked as well. I'm bringing you that one. I think one more pump out of that, and we're going to get a short, and then a lot of these alts moving up above neutral. So looking all right on the 4-hour, and potentially one more level up. Now, what I've been talking about over the last couple of days is I've been looking for these alts to move up and either reject at 236s in some cases or 382 fibs. So that's either the current level that you're seeing them on now, or there's potentially, it depends on the alt, but there's potentially 5 to 10% pumpage left in some of these alts before we hit the next level. So that is kind of the game I'm playing with at the moment here. And there are signs that they could potentially just pop up to the next one. But even if we hit the next level, we are still printing lower highs on these alts. And I just want to say again, just be super, super careful. For me, those are exit zones. We can always come back in if the market remains bullish and get more breakouts or catch more trades. But in terms of banking profits and things like that, if you've ridden them up here and you're going to hold on for that extra 5 or 10%, it's probably wise to take profit if you do get that move. So just be careful there, guys. And no need for the handbag, says Duty Dave. Wife left me for an XRP, man. Bullish, hey? Bullish. Jeez. Okay, sorry, Duty. I don't know. Is the XRP the biggest insult? Let's talk dominance here. This is very important. So as you can see, dominance is at a fight all day here around this 50-day moving average. This is the 8-hour candle we're watching, and you can see I've written here alt danger because this is a typical bounce zone on dominance. And what typically happens when dominance bounces off the 50-day is that, or not the 50-day, when dominance bounces, is that alts tend to be less favored. And what happens is they tend to reject, and maybe you'll get a lower high, and then you'll get a run again on these alts. So that is why current areas on some of these altcoins, possible danger zones where they are right now. Hence me closing that PEPE trade currently in that area. But I'd say longer term, and in terms of the 8-hour, so over the next couple of days, dominance is actually looking a little bit bearish here. So there are going to be moves here. At some point, we are going to get the eventual dip here where they come and absolutely rinse us. But right now, short-term bounce on dominance. This can obviously cause damage on your altcoins, especially if you are highly leveraged. So just be safe. You're at resistance on alts. Dominance is at support. You make the decisions, okay? You can see where these things are a little bit dangerous at these types of moments. Okay, so that is that. Then in terms of total 3, this is yesterday's chart, and so far so good. So playing the game, and we were saying if total 3 dropped into that zone, it was going to be a long, and this is the typical short zone that you would look at. So we are now in TP zone on total 3. What is total 3? Well, it's basically the altcoin market excluding Bitcoin and ETH. So it's a fair representation of shitcoins, and right now it's at its first danger zone, or its first rejection area. So that is just something to take note of. Now this daily looks nice and bullish, but remember, when you get a bullish daily, this can either take a week or so, but you could get something like that playing out, and that little secondary dip can sometimes look like this on these altcoins. So again, a warning here for you guys, we are not out of the woods just yet, and we are at resistance now on this total 3. So a little bit of caution here. If we do start grinding higher, guys, 200-day MA is 890 billion. That'll give you another push, and then that is alts at their next levels that I've just spoken about, and then that's a probable or possible rejection, and that just keeps these lower highs in play. Okay, and remember, we can trade these trends until they break, so we can't decide that this time is different. If you look at these charts that I'm showing you and these alts, we can't decide that this time, you know, is different. So for me, I play the supports, I play the resistances, and at some point they break. So at some point I'm wrong, and then we look at the next levels and we play it accordingly. If I constantly say to myself, this time is different, well, you're going to get yourself in a bit of a tangle. Okay, so for me, try and just be consistent with levels and areas. Now, we're not going to talk about this, but you can see USDT dominance is just dropping down a little bit. That is good for us. But in terms of support, you can see it's on support at the moment, the 200-day MA. So yeah, just a picture here. Dominance on support, USDT dominance on support, some else at resistance. You do the maths, okay? You decide how you want to play that. Now, ETH on-chain activity is exploding, according to Mr. Crypto. Now, I know he's quite bullish in general, and he says this is extremely bullish, okay? Don't underestimate ETH, okay? Well, the world's biggest shitcoin is still doing shitcoinery, and I've got a plan here for ETH at the moment. And for me, this was actually going to be our big guide as to when these alts were going to fall over. And I actually thought we were going to get that live on the show. So just going back in time, ETH has been sitting in a beautiful range for the last couple of weeks. And every time we pumped into this top region, we have had a short opportunity on ETH. Now, again, we can also say this time is different, and it might not be, or it might be. But basically what we're looking at here is a continuous pattern. Whenever we're getting these reversal prints on ETH, at these types of levels, we are getting reversals on ETH. Okay, you can see every time we get that, it's falling over. So here we go again. We've printed that one. So what I'd like to see now is the second pump on ETH, just one more push, and that should take us into this big zone to the upside. And I want to print this divergence again. So one more push on ETH. Look at that. We'll copy this exact situation there, and then we'll get a beautiful dip in the market, and especially those altcoins. And that's going to tie in really nicely for me if we get that. So 2,680 to 2,700, anywhere in that zone, I think would be an ideal short area or rejection area for ETH. Now, obviously, if it blows through that area, we can go and get long later on. So might be wrong initially if it breaks that zone. But if it does, we'll get beautiful longs from this 2,700 region. And I'll most likely have quite an aggressive, hard crack at it if we do. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out. And this time different, Leakies, says Fahad. Fahad, how's 𝗬𝗿, bro? Did you get, I know you the 𝗬𝗿, man. Did you get some yesterday on the show with me and Chaos? Maybe we should close this thing before it sends us to hell. Look, it's sending me to hell now. It's already rejecting. Okay, so I took this 𝗬𝗿 on CoinEx, and I gave the hackers the updated rejection zones today. Look at this accuracy. Look at that. Exactly on 273 on that 786 fib. Look at that rejection there on 𝗬𝗿. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this CoinEx trade. Thank you to Chaos. He spotted this 𝗬𝗿 yesterday, and this thing is now done. Okay, so we'll close that there. Mini handbag. Okay, let's go market. Best market there. 100%. Okay, close it. $1,000. Chaos, I owe you lunch, bro. Okay, thank you so much for that. I'll be sending him something. Okay, so guys, there we go. Let's get into the rest of these coins. Okay, so ETH, you got the drill. If we do fall over, just last note on ETH, if we do fall over here, 2,530 is going to be your first line of bullish support. If the market comes and rinses us, this is probably the flush zone where you're looking for your first long, 2,450. So you can see these lows here. Look for that stop hunt. Look for that flush here. 2,450 makes sense, okay, as the next zone. Charleston says, when beard oil? I've been helping promote it all day in the chat.
Professor Xavier has been in the chat shilling this all day long. He needs a product to actually shill, though.
It's coming, bro. It's coming. Hang in there. Hang in there. Okay, perfect beards aren't made in a day. Okay, they're coming. Okay, let's go. Let's talk Sol. So Again, I'm super close to closing my SOL position here at the moment. This is the 12-hour chart that we looked at the other day, and I gave you a couple of reasons why this 140 is still on the table as a visit at some point. And how would you get there? Well, typically in a situation like that is we get some kind of pump, we print the lower high, and then we come down and we get the next move on SOL. So this is why I didn't think 152 was the extreme bottom. I thought it was the bottom of a move. And obviously, I'd love to be wrong. And, SOL spot can rip and do whatever it needs to do. But until then, 141 looks like it's a possibility for me on Solana. And I'm trying to play it accordingly. Okay, I'm trying to manage it as best as possible with that in mind. So dialing into SOL now on lower time frames, and this is one of the SOL charts I dropped in Hackers earlier today. And I told the guys, when we broke this 157, I added to my SOL position because I'm chasing one more push into 169 for SOL, and that looks like quite a reasonable area for me. So what I picked up here simply was a break of horizontal, a retest of the 50-day MA and 382. That's enough for me to look at a bullish retest there for a second pump, and they've given us a little move so far, and they've actually pumped just short of our first TP zone here at 164 and then 169. Guys, this is the big one here for SOL. You can see I've got a beautiful undercarriage here. I've got the VWAP. I've got this whole zone. This really looks like a big rejection zone there for me on SOL. So if we pump into that zone, that's an exit plan. Okay, that is where we should be bailing out on that, or at least in terms of a TP jumping out of that thing. So here's SOL. It's now 2,700 up. And yesterday I was calling it absolute dog shit. And look how it can surprise. And it's the same thing. When the market picks up, they always go back to these types of tokens, and they do eventually catch up a little bit. And SOL has now overtaken ETH in terms of a recovery play off yesterday. So that is looking good. I'm close to closing this thing. You can see I've opened an AVAX hedge short at the moment. I've got a ZEC hedge play going on, and I've got a small SUI hedge short running because I'm quite long SUI and it's been so shit. It's 72,000 long, and it's looking dead at the moment. Okay, so I've just got a little bit of cover there on SUI in case we start rolling over there. Now let's get into some of these important tokens. So PEPE, you can see why I'm out of PEPE. So we're not going to cover this one anymore. There is one more zone, 142. If you are going to hold it, that is the next rejection zone there for PEPE. Now let's get into this. Actually, James sent me this video. And I actually thought it was cool because you guys, sometimes you watch my TA and, you wonder how I go about it. Well, I've got an accelerated course for you guys that teaches you the basics of this TA. But a lot of the mental side of trading it's a lot of trading is the mental side, and it's clocking the hours and doing the work. And I thought this was such a cool video. And just bear with me for 48 seconds, okay? Watch this video quickly. It's really worth it. Okay, listen to this man.
Anything can be learned. I can start playing golf like Tiger Woods. The only thing that separates me to Tiger Woods is desire and repetition. So when you bugger off to the pub or you sit and watch your favorite TV program, I study charts. I go over the trading day. Just like Tiger Woods, when everyone else hit the clubhouse, he went and worked out. And there's no shortcuts. You can't buy a book, you can't attend a course, you can't listen to anyone. You see, you can't be taught anything. I cannot teach you anything. You have to decide to teach yourself. I can guide you, but ultimately you, in any endeavor in life, be it sport, be it politics, be it education, you have to want it yourself. And that's what separates the 99% with the 1%, the ones that truly dream and dare and go for their goals and their vision.
Now, guys, I was interviewed similarly not too long ago, and some of you might have seen that video on the Banter channel. And, at the end of the day, you got to actually do the work. But what I've done here for you guys is I've created something that I wish I had when I started trading. So when I started my journey, it was super excited, making some money, losing some money, getting rinsed, doing whatever. But I created something for you guys that I was hungry for and searching for. And number one, it's a fast track into some basic TA that'll get you guys cooking. And number two, it's a trading community for you called Chart Hackers, where we cover all of these things and we look after you, and the community is there supporting one another. And that was the missing thing for me when I started. And I actually thought this video was pretty cool. So guys, check out my accelerator course, and it is in the show description. But basically all the TA you see me doing, tied in with the indicators, the oscillators, it's all there for you guys. Very short, concise lessons. You'll be trading within 10 days, and you'll be smashing out leverage trades as well within 10 days. That is my promise to you. Okay, so just take a look. If you're interested or you're intrigued, go do the work. Take a look. Now, Circle boosts IPO price and size after BlackRock is interested. So BlackRock is taking 10% of the Circle IPO. Now, what does that mean? They're interested in the stablecoin situation going on out there, and there's a lot of stablecoin offshoots or projects that people are now getting interested in because of this BlackRock IPO. It's literally just a narrative at the moment, and we have seen Maker absolutely ripping. We have seen ENA absolutely ripping. We have seen Frax FXS as well absolutely ripping at the moment. So I thought, let's look at this narrative and let's see, is there any more juice to squeeze, or is it time to send it down? Okay, so in terms of ENA, it looks very much like all of my other altcoin. In fact, you know what? I'll open a little ENA here in case this thing falls over. Okay. Let's go. ENA. Let's take a little short here in case it starts rolling over early. Okay, we'll go open short. Bang. Okay, done. Okay, there we go. Open short ENA. You can see this thing might be rolling over. Let's go through the chart now. Let's talk about this thing. Okay, so here's ENA, news-based pump, possible narrative because of stable coins and all these types of things. And what is it doing? Well, it's pumped into the first rejection zone, and you can see the 4 hour looking a bit cooked. Okay, looking a bit hot. It's not over. Okay, it's not like overburnt where it's like divergences and stuff, but in terms of the 2 hour, you can see we've got our first little dip here and things are looking interesting. Now, I just want to warn you with the dangers. You can see I've closed a couple of longs, but I'm still sitting in a few longs as well, and this is now becoming a hedge situation. If we get momentum to the downside, I'm going to add aggressively to that short, but right now, happy to open 1 or 2 shorts at some key areas. If we get momentum, we push a little bit harder. As long as we're banking along the way and you're closing profits along the way, then it could be a nice strategy for you guys. So here's the 2 hour looking a little bit bearish. What could possibly play out? If we get a second pump, we're going to get that bearish divergence print. If we do get a second pump, what is the danger? Well, the first danger is that we push into, say, 3.6 somewhere there and then get that drop, or alternatively, we push into 3.75 and then we get that drop. So you need to do the maths and you need to decide, what level of risk you're prepared to look at the moment. For me, nice starter hedge play. If we get a pump into this 357, 356 region, that can be a zone that I can add. But it's also, if we close above that, that's a potential area where you can start cutting in case this thing is going to get some more momentum. Okay, so right now for me, you can see why my logic says, possible rejection here on ENA after that news-based pump, and it could be short-lived. They could absolutely rip it through later on, but again, just trying to cover my bases here. You can see this is at the very least a TP zone in terms of anybody that's been long on this ENA. And I just want to point out again how simple this can be if you're paying attention to all these charts. Look at that little 786 coming into play, little reversal oversold, bang, and you get a nice little move out of that into resistance here. So now for me, bearish zone, no fresh longs until there is some kind of pullback or some kind of consolidation. So happy to sit a little bit short here. Let's see how this plays out. What are the bullish options? Bullish option number 1 is some kind of flag that sits here. If we consolidate over the next day or so, then I'd say there's the odds that we do get a second pop here and this thing runs higher. Other than that, I do see this thing just bleeding a little bit lower and letting the news settle, and then possibly another crack at a long. Okay, so in terms of possible targets here on ENA, I'd say watch the horizontal. So 316 is a possible target here, 316 that you can pay attention to. And remember, yesterday I spoke about a lot of altcoins rejecting off that 50-day MA, and you can see it's just come into play now for us. And this is obviously a key zone. This is a key moment, and the gray line is the 100-day MA. So we've got a lot of resistance here in front of us for these alts. Okay, so obviously, guys, protect yourselves. Don't get caught in a short with no end, okay, because the losses can get exponential. So just be careful. If you see pressure on these things, don't be scared to cut. You can always get in later on, okay? So 358, 3.6, those types of levels there, look to cut. Then you're looking a bit higher, 3.75 as another bearish zone. Okay, so there we go. I'm locked and loaded on that one. Then there's this thing, Frax. Now, Chaos described it as a piece of dog shit, and he knows his stuff, like, fundamentally. And so for me, yeah, I mean, I actually asked him, I said, what's the story with this thing? And I think his words were turd. Did he call it a turd?
Yeah, turd, dog shit, something along those lines. He doesn't seem to care for it, I guess.
Okay, so again, I trade shit coins. Like, I don't care fundamentally. Like, I actually fall asleep when people talk to me about the tech. But anyway, it could be a little pumper. It could not be. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But all I can give you here is this is possibly part of the narrative. And you can see we have broken a trend on the 8 hour. And what I could say here, let's actually dial in a little bit and give you some bullish support, because this thing hasn't pumped like ENA, so there might be a little bit of juice in the tank on this guy. And let's just look at a couple of zones, because if this thing does eventually pull back and run, then you could get a little bit of action here. Okay, so let's go low to the high and let's look at some potential targets for this thing. And the most obvious looks like 3.58. Okay, so 3.58 there. That makes sense to me as a potential target. Let's see upside. How far can this thing go from somewhere there? So 21% if there is a little bit of a bullish move in the market. Now, what is interesting, again, you've seen it on a lot of these other tokens. Look at the oscillator, okay, looking a little bit bearish. So we are relying here on, and just like many of these other alts, we are relying on that secondary pump that gives us divergence, that gives us that bearish divergence print, and then ultimately sends us down. So if you want to have a crack at this FXS, look for some kind of consolidation here. You can see, very simple, look for this flag here, look for it to float around. I would say if you get a dip into 2.87, that could be a trigger for a quick little pump. Now, I don't know if you're going to get 21% out of this thing, but I would say watch 2.87 as your first sort of line of interest here. If this BlackRock narrative continues, then no doubt the market will probably be interested in something like this, and they will buy what Theos calls the dog shit, okay? And then they'll send it up, and we can make money out of this thing, okay? So I'm actually going to put my alarm on here. If we do drop into the zone, I think there's a possible trade here for us. 2.86, 2.87. Could be a play there for us. Now, in terms of Maker, this was another one, okay, another pumper. Now, we looked at this yesterday, and there were quite a few reasons why Maker was going to reject where it was yesterday. And you guys would have noticed we got a rejection, but those oscillators on the lower time frames were looking way too bullish still yesterday. So I was a bit reluctant to jump into a Maker short with you guys. I know some of you were shorting it. We had the VWAP, we had the 6618 there. There were a couple of reasons why it initially rejected. But now, obviously, on this narrative, it's pushed back up again. And in terms of danger zones, well, if you're going to have a crack, or for me, if somebody said, where would I have my first crack at a short? 2040 is starting to make sense to me. Okay, we've got a little bit of an undercarriage here. We've got our macro 382 coming into play, and let's just look on these lower time frames. What are they telling us on the lower time frames? Remember, the lower guys often tell us the initial picture as to what could be playing out. So you can see we've got our first divergence print now on the 2 hour, and things are getting a little bit tired. So if you get one more pump here on Maker, you're going to get a second spider web of divergence, and then I think you're going to get your short. So 2040, guys, that looks like a nice zone there on Maker for me. That's a macro 382. Let me just show you that 382. And we know these things are super powerful at these types of levels on these weeklies. And if you pull that fib from the high to the low, look at that. There's your macro 382. Bang. Okay, tying in with some weekly levels here that date back all the way to February 21. Look at this, May 21. Look at these horizontals here. Okay, so we know that that is quite a big zone. And now we're going to push into this thing. And if you're looking to short, that's a possible zone, 2040. And wow, look at that. We printed bearish divergence on the weekly. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so Maker, there you go. And AAVE, well, I'm out of this one now. No changes for me, guys. I know James is trying to ride this one a little bit higher. And look, maybe it does. Where the levels? 273, there it is. And then you've got your highs, James, at 282. Okay, but then after that, it's Valhalla, bro. I mean, this thing can fly, really. It really can. I just wanted to close that trade. Okay, so I'm out of that. Did anyone catch, did you guys take AAVE with me in Chaos yesterday? What else did you get? What else did you get involved in? A lot of the trades we were sitting in were pretty flat yesterday, and they have pumped since then. So hopefully you guys got some of that action. Okay, we're going to get into some more stuff here. Mark, hello, sir. Hello. Let's see. Armin says Tao's ready to pump. That's an interesting one. And Chaos, we're talking about you, bro, and you're not even here. We're talking about you. Luke, I owe you Brett, bro. I think you've asked this before. Justin as well. Guys, okay, God, I have to do Brett. Okay. Yes, sir.
We've got AI is pumping. ICP is just flying. Fetch, GRT. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe that's why they're talking about Tau, but yeah,
fucking
ICP.
Virtual doing nothing. Okay. Okay, let's go. Let's see what I got here. We can always jump to some of these others quickly. Okay, AAVE guys, you know the drill. Okay, so we're done there. Hype. Yeah, I closed my hype and then I've started another one. Okay, a little cheeky one here in case we get a pop, because the hype target for me is 52 possibly, if there is a little bit of momentum here. A little bit naughty. I banked a banger last night. That hype was an absolute cracker. And right now, yeah, I just thought there's so much momentum here. And 52, if it gets going here, 52 is on for this hype. So I'm sniffing around in a small hype again. No plan other than if it starts running, I'm adding to this thing and we're pushing it to 54. That's the plan. If it turns too red, I'm cutting it. Okay, so that's the plan. What is Doogie Doo-Doo? What is Doogie Doo-Doo? Okay, virtual. Okay, let's cover virtual. Then we'll go Tao quickly. So over the last 30 days, this is actually quite interesting. The top 100 virtual holders added 28 million tokens, 8% increase in holdings. Okay, so 70% drop in smart money balance. The largest wallets are still accumulating. Okay, so I don't know. It's interesting what's going on here, but there's definitely activity here, James. I don't know your thoughts on this thing, but I know there's a staking narrative behind this. There's a lot going on this virtual. So I'm sitting in this, trying to get something going again, trying to get some momentum. And I'm watching it on the 4 hour, and it's pretty simple to break this thing down. Okay, so in terms of your main support on virtual, that's the low, 1.85. And we know this thing is an absolute pumper when it wants to. Okay, we've experienced that a few times already. So 1.85, that's your first line of key major support. So if you're trading anywhere in between that and getting chopped up, hitting stops, well, you're just wasting your own money. Okay, so the big level is 1.87. So manage your positions sizing and your margin so that you can cater for those types of drops. If you're getting frustrated in virtual because you're getting chopped up, you're doing it wrong. Okay, that's all I can say. So there's a potential pump or potential trade coming, but your best zone to buy is any dips to the downside here, 1.85, 1.88, any dips down there, and alternatively, any breaks through 2.1, because then you can get a possible long, and you're going to see exactly like AAVE, the exact same situation. Break through the horizontal, retest, and then you get the long. So look for something like that on virtual. Okay, so that you haven't missed anything. So right now I'm just trying to build a position. So just, as it's going up and down, up and down, up and down, building, hopefully it goes in my favor and this thing goes bullish for a few days and we run back to whatever, 2.28, 2.42, something like that. But right now for me, consolidating in that zone. So key support 188, 185, key resistance 2.1. If you break the key resistance, you're playing it exactly like we played AAVE yesterday. Okay, you're looking for that support buy once it breaks, and then you're sending it. Okay, so that is where we ape properly on this virtual. Right now, we're playing games. We're just getting little bits in case it's going to turn bullish for us. Okay, does that make sense when I say little bits? Okay, hopefully I'm talking sense here to you guys. And virtual made me chop my ding dong off. But I mean, where were you trying to catch it, PMG George, bro? Watch the big supports. Always watch your big supports first before you guys panic. Okay. Let's go. Brett, I got to do Brett for you guys. God, okay, there's S. Okay, I was going to cover S as well, but okay, we're going to switch. S for Brett. Okay, there we go. Why are you guys so excited about Brett? There we go. It's still in the long zone. Okay, so Brett's doing its thing. Where's the short zone? 636 and 74. So I think there's a little bit more in the tank there. I said waiting for reversal. Well, we've got it now on Brett. So your key support, guys, 497 down to 47. That's your key support. And then TP zones, look out here, 60 to 63, 60 to 64, and 74 making sense to me. Okay, so there's Brett. I'll make sure this is in Chart Hackers as well after the show for you guys. Okay, you'll find it there waiting. Little bits, leverage or spot. Kenneth, however you want to play it, bro. I kind of lean towards leverage because that's what I do. But yeah, little bits, bro. Spots obviously way more relaxing because you can never get lickies, right? You can get lickies when you're trading leverage, but spot, you just become a long-term investor. That's really what can happen there for you. Solace on virtual new runner, that could be a banger. Things on virtual could be interesting. Okay, let's get back into the business here, guys. Okay, so virtual, you know what to do. Here's a short, okay? LQTY. It sounds like, I don't know, something out of San Francisco, LQTY. But here it is, and it's pumping into a massive danger zone, yeah? 200-day MA, massive order block, macro VWAP, big horizontals coming into play here for us. So I've got a gift for you guys. I think this is a really nice short zone, and you can see I put my alarm on here, 1.175. And looking for this pump into this type of region there, and then some kind of rejection. So 1.175, my alarm is on, and looking for a possible short there. I think this is a really nice zone for us. So I picked that one up on the 4-hour crypto RSI heat map here. You can see this thing's in the overcooked position, and I think if they give us one more pump here, that's going to be a proper ticket into a nice short. Okay, so 1.175, alarm is on, waiting for that push. I expect at the very least a nice rejection, even if it's a couple of candles, but something like that, you know, could be pretty nice for us, and could give us a nice move there. You know, 13%, 15%, give or take. So waiting for it to hit the zone. Yeah, looking for a short. Good luck there, guys. That looks like a banger. Then in terms of AVAX, I showed you I'm in a head short play now, and you can see it's the same for all these alts. Zone number one, here we are. This is danger zone number one. Look out for a wick into the 50-day MA at 21.9. That is a bit of an issue that it's sitting there. So look out for a little pump into that, and then a rejection. So yeah, this is the current short zone. And then your zone number two is 22.5. Now, oscillators looking a little bit bearish. We're getting reversals on the fall. Could be an area, you know, where we start looking for this thing to possibly roll over. Last couple of times we've seen that it did actually fall over when it printed that reversal. So just highlighting this here for you guys again, 21.4 possible short zone, 22.5 possible short zone on AVAX there. That makes a lot of sense to me. Then let's talk 𝗏𝗆. I'm out of FARTCOIN. Okay, I closed that one just before we went live. I didn't like this rejection at the moment. You can see it is rolling over a little bit now, and I'm sitting in theta. Okay, so DJ and Dave has been talking about theta the last couple of days, so I started nibbling at a theta position here. Let's see if this is going to turn into something fun. But right now it's $11,000. If there's a little bit more momentum, we're going to add to this one. Now this account, I'm trying to play like a nice balance here. I'm not trying to go like overly big and then like take like a massive position and then suddenly get rinsed or whatever. I'm trying to grow this thing slowly just to show you guys how it can work. And there's a lot of people out there that genuinely believe you have to win every single trade to be successful. And this, I just want to show you, it's not the case. Okay, here's 49% win rate, 71 closed trades, 35 winning closed trades, P&L of longs 16,000, P&L of shorts 5,000, a hit rate of 49%, but we're cooking, okay? And for me, it's just about not going too big, taking nice sized trades, being disciplined, taking profits, doing those types of things. And I'm going to keep going on this account, and we'll see. Now, it's been choppy this week, so the account's actually relatively flat between where we were, 5 days ago when the market was dumping, or 4 days ago, versus where we are now. But in terms of taking profits at good times, in terms of being disciplined with stop losses, cutting, doing these types of things, and most importantly, position sizing, there's a lesson in this. Okay, so going to carry on grinding this one out. But for those of you that thought you have to win every trade, well, now you don't, okay? And it's as simple as that. So come to Chart Hackers, and we'll show you how shit gets done in there, and do my accelerator course, and we'll teach you these things, because it's about backing the winners and cutting those losers nicely, okay? Now, let's go. What am I missing here, James? FARTCOIN, and then it was, what was the other one they wanted to see?
A lot of requests for WIF.
Okay, yeah, whiffs. Obviously, we've got to look at that one. Okay, so guys, FARTCOIN. Why did I exit FARTCOIN? I didn't like that rejection candle. In terms of where can FARTCOIN go, this is still an option. 1.25, that is still in play for us. 1.25. And, you know, it can easily pop into that area. I would say just look for a rejection if we do pop into that zone. That's a danger area for me. But now I've closed this one. It was my second visit to this 50-day MA, and I thought, fuck, I'm not going to do it again. Okay, 1 rejection, 2 rejection. Didn't want a third one. Okay, so I'm out of that fart. Obviously, it can do whatever and then start pushing again. But for me right now, 125, that's going to be the next TP zone there for any FARTCOIN traders. And you're probably going to find we're going to print divergence again here. So you're going to get a spider web or something there, and then possibly some downside there on FARTCOIN. Okay, so be careful with that. Then in terms of BONK, yeah, this BONK's cooking, guys. Whoever's been taking or whoever took the BONK with me. Now, I haven't hit my TPs just yet, but I've manually closed a little bit today, and I've now brought my stop above entry. So this is now a zero risk trade for me. It's we locked and loaded here. So crypto gods, send us a little bit higher. You can see 18.1 is my first TP, and my next TP is 18.9 on this thing. And I've clipped off a little bit of profits here, $260. My stop is at entry, so risk is now gone. There's no risk now on this trade. So anyone in this BONK, well, TP if you want to, or you know, ride the full plan with me, which was up into the zone here, this 181, and then into 194. These are the two big zones there for me where I'd like to see this thing go. So it's either rejecting right now in that area, bang, or it's going to reject at this guy, 194. But right now, we've got a risk-free trade after taking on the risk, originally backing the levels, backing the reversal, trusting the process, sweating through it. And here we are. That's the fruits of having conviction on these areas and obviously backing your TA. But in terms of BONK, yes, rejection zone right now. If you want to be short as a hedge, this is one of the zones. Your next one, 194, guys. It's as simple as that. Okay, let's go with. Jeez, this whiff. Oh no, this whiff is a short here. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Bang, straight into that VWAP. Okay, nice. Okay, nice. Whoever got this. Yeah, that's a banger. If you got the short, nice. I think it's too late now. If you jump in now, just look at your risk. If you jump in now, your risk is 4%. Okay, so just be careful with your leverage if you do jump in now. But in terms of picking a banger, in terms of picking a rejection, wow. Okay, there you go. You've absolutely nailed it. Whoever caught that one. So what happens next with WIF? Let's just look at some bullish support. So your options are, as always, okay, if you break a zone, what you can see is you've got lower highs. Okay, so we understand that. So bang, bang, bang. Okay, now at any point in time when you get a lower high, what you can do is say, okay, well, maybe this time we're going to get a bullish bounce and this can break the trend. So for example, this trend could continue all the way down later on, or you can have a situation where there's a bullish bounce and then it goes again. Okay, and then it actually breaks that trend. Okay, so that is what you can start looking for on something like WIF. And in terms of rejections, well, absolutely smashed here. Okay, look at that. Beautiful, guys. Wow. Okay, so let's look here. Big resistance, 1.02. You can see that. And then in terms of bull support, let's just bring out a big zone here for you guys. I must say, I do love this this lower region here. I don't love that 382. If I had to pick, I would say 93, guys. That's your bounce now, cut it off zone for the bulls. Okay, that area there, 93. So if this thing does reject more, you can see what's going on here. Previous range low, look at that, lost it, reclaimed. Now if we come back down, you want it to bounce there. Okay, we had this situation with virtual not too long ago. So 93 would be really nice. Okay, Panda nailed WIF. Well, that's good to know. Panda's one of our savage degen traders in chart hackers as well. So he got the WIF short there for the guys. Okay, guys, I'm not going to talk any longer. I think I've gone a bit hoarse now talking so much, but you get my sentiment. We at resistance on alts. Can they go higher? Yes. I'm very wary of the next level up, which is 5 to 10% away on some of these altcoins. If it pumps into there, fuck me. I'm going to be 95% out and let it pump more. Okay, we can always find another entry, or we can always find a breakout later on. But what you can't find is the rejection, and you can't get your profits back after it's fallen down. Okay, that's all I want to say. James, thank you, sir. Did you take profit?
Some. I'm leaving some to run. I think we still got some more juice in the tank.
I've never heard him this bullish. Well, I have, but that was like in 2022 or something.
My bullish is all around tweets. We had good news yesterday finally. So, hey, up until we get some bad news, I'm bullish until that changes. Okay. It'll change soon.
So next level then, okay? Maybe the next level, guys. Okay, James, thank you. Okay, guys, you know my plan. Good luck. I'm back on Banter Plus tomorrow. It was good being here with you guys. Hopefully see you on Banter Plus tomorrow. Ciao.